You are listening to the Body Charge podcast, and I'm your host, Sandy Sanderson. Welcome to the Body Charge podcast. Today's topic is how electromagnetic fields affect the body's cellular memory. The invisible radiation spectrum in our environment can affect different people in different ways, depending on their sensitivity. If we can't handle the level of exposures, we can develop chronic fatigue, headaches, metabolic syndrome, sleep disorder, anxiety, and terrible mood swings. This is because those fields stress our body's own electrical field. My special guest today is Sophia Torrini, who has a master's in public health epidemiology and is an advanced student and NCS certified trainer under the mentorship of Dr. Joe Dispenza. So welcome aboard, Sophia. Lovely to have you.
Thank you for the invite again, and it's a pleasure being on your show.
Yes, so informative. I can't wait to get started. My first question is, how would you describe our body's electromagnetic field and cellular communication?
Okay, so for my limited knowledge, we do have an electromagnetic field. So the thoughts are electrical. The heart creates a magnetic field. So the emotions are magnetic. So as a result, we create a toric field around our body. And the heart's field is much larger than the brain. But this is the physical projection. Outside of the reality in the field, we have an electric body. And that is the blueprint of the body that gets projected in this holographic universe. So this body here is the bridge from that electric body. Does that make sense?
Yes. So that field, that toroidal field, it's like a donut shape, isn't it? So our body and the central nervous system up and down the spine's kind of in the middle of that donut. And then the field expands outwards in a circular fashion. So it goes up and out and around and circulates like a donut going around a donut.
Correct. And when the frequency drops, that toroidal field gets very small. And also, each cell has a certain voltage. So I think it's minus 70 to minus 90 millivolts, if I remember correctly, the proper communication of the cells to be healthy. So when we have disease, it has dropped below 30, and when we have cancers is below 15. So when the cells between them, they don't communicate, they're not sending the signal properly. Imagine a wire that has very little electricity going through, and there's constantly static. So as a result, the cells are now not well. Does that make sense?
Yes. So if it's like computer safe mode, isn't it? They're sort of functioning okay, but they're not optimal.
Right.
They're just getting by.
Right. And on a physical level, I believe it's sodium and potassium that keep the positive charge in the body, and then chloride are on across the cell membrane.
And magnesium.
That's correct. Magnesium, and the cells actively pump ions to maintain the voltage using ATP energy. So basically to create through the sodium potassium pump. So charge is important.
It is very important. And Professor Gerald Pollack wrote a book called The Fourth Phase of Water. He'd done copious research into electromagnetic fields and ion charge and how water works in the body, because without water and minerals, we don't have the electricity. So he actually analyzed cells. I think that was in the book Cells, Gels, and the Cells, Gels, and the Something of Life. I read it many, many years ago, and it was just a beautiful book full of illustrations. But he actually showed that it's a misnomer to call it a pump. the sodium potassium pump, so the cell's not actually pumping anything. What's causing the membrane charge to hold together, so all the internal components of the cell to stay inside, is the differential between the outside of the cell and the inside of the cell. So nothing's being pumped. The
Right.
differential just changes. So if the differential, if that cell gets depolarized, that cell's own little tiny field, so we're like I guess Russian dolls of fields inside fields inside fields. So that little cell has its own field, doesn't it? And when that gets depolarized, it's like a short circuit. The membrane becomes looser and it doesn't do its job very well at holding stuff in. So then we lose magnesium, potassium comes out behind it, and we lose water, and then everything compresses and starts to squeeze and become very stressed. And then too much sodium and calcium move inside because they're bigger molecules. And when the membrane is leaky and not holding the charge, then stuff gets in that shouldn't get in. So
Right.
there's a whole bunch of problems that emanate from losing that good charge. And so for that good charge, we need obviously good lifestyle and water and minerals, lots of it. And things that interfere with the charge, you know, they're heavy metals and chemicals and all sorts of stresses in our environment, which can depolarize and interfere with that healthy membrane. So now we have like the microcosm and the macrocosm. So as above, so below. So we have this cell with this little mini electromagnetic field inside our whole body, which is a community forming one bigger electromagnetic field. And isn't it beautiful poetry that we're inside the earth and its electromagnetic field? And many people have called the earth Gaia as a living entity because, you know, aren't we like our own mini Gaia with our gut microbiome as a house for many other little microorganisms that work to help us digest food and, you know, do what we need to do, provide the nutrition and the chemicals that to keep our electrical system functioning. It's just so magical how the whole thing works together. And then they have to communicate. And this has like been such a mystery for a long time for researchers. So do you have an explanation of how the cells then through those fields interact with each other?
That how the cells interact with each other? No, I don't know. My line of work is how to maintain them to a proper voltage. And to be focused, not so much. So you brought the concept of the physical body. So let's start, first of all, where the disease is.
Yep.
The disease is not in the physical body. It appears in the physical body. The disease is in the field. So we have several scientists from the 40s on. One was later on Dr. Hunt, but I'm trying to remember who the previous person, one who worked at Yale, proved, and I'll talk about the experiment. So he took 3 sets of women, and one woman, and they were all, he was studying ovarian cancer. So the first woman who had the ovarian cancer in the body had it in the field. There was a second group of women that had the pattern in the field, but did not have it in the body, and ultimately developed the cancer. And then there was a third group, which was the control, that never had it in the field, never developed. So let's discuss the one that developed the cancer but didn't have it in the body. Since the blueprint is the electric body outside of here, it's not this one. It's in the field, we have an electric body.
So can we look at the field? I'm just trying to get a concept around something that's there. In the old days, like for hundreds of years, they called it the ether. So it's something that exists everywhere. It's an information field.
That's correct.
Because there's electricity everywhere to various extent in the whole universe.
Correct.
Including inside and outside of us. And there's like an overlay of an information blueprint that we tap into. So what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Well, the field comes first. And it's been proven, both Einstein, it's the field that creates matter. It's not matter that creates the field. So what we need to address, while I agree we need to address physical issues here, but what all these scientists and all these spiritual teachers indicate, that's a 30%. So we have to literally address the 70% that's creating that blueprint in the field that's going to cause the disease. Let's talk about the concept of cancer, because that might be simple. A woman takes out, she unfortunately gets a horrible diagnosis and she has a mastectomy. Okay, and then a few years later, she's done all the treatments, whether they're natural or not natural, but let's assume they were natural, because there's a lot of people who did natural treatments, and the cancer disappears. A few years later, it appears at some other organ. The question is, normal medicine calls it metastasis. It's not metastasis. Yes, it did move to another place because the pattern in the field was not resolved.
So the physical cells obey the instructions from the field.
Correct. That is correct.
So how does the information form in the field? Why is that field corrupted sometimes to then manifest into that physical reality?
We have corrupted the field with our negative thoughts and emotions, and unfortunately, we've had some trauma. So trauma is a little different, but our negative thoughts and emotions are going to lower the voltage in the body. And we have Dr. David Hawkins, who created the maps of consciousness. And he clearly tells us that anything below 200 on an emotional scale from the maps of consciousness is going to create disease. He also has joy and love, and that's the moment spontaneous healing happens.
So that's the key to changing the field, right?
That's correct. Your emotions change the field.
Yes, energy in motion, emotion.
That's correct. That's correct. That is correct. And
so it's good, bad, or other, because you can have bad emotions that make you feel bad, that keep making bad outcomes, or you can move to good emotions that are fun and uplifting and full of love, and they kind of skate over the top of any adverse situations and enable us to deal with stuff much better. And isn't it interesting how it's all related to our electricity, to energy in the universe, energy within us, and how we interact and relate to that. And there's always information in electricity. So the two definitely overlap.
Yes. Well, we originally were vibration, actually sound, vibration, frequency. Before we enter the hologram, we are photonic light. Sound can change to photonic light. That's what we are. So then you have all your patterns before you enter the hologram, and your electric body, the blueprint is there. Your consciousness, just like the light, the laser in the hologram, projects the physical body. So the body is inside the soul.
Yes.
The soul is not inside the body.
The soul grows the body.
That's
like
correct.
Some kind of piece of fruit off a plant.
Yeah, projects it. Correct. Yes.
And all we can see is the fruit. We can't
Yes.
see the plant.
Yes.
Unless, of course, you're a special individual with clairvoyance, and people can see those auric fields and colors, and others don't. It's a matter of seeing all the frequencies of the spectrum. So some of us have limitations.
Well, eventually, I think that's going to change as we raise our frequency. The DNA will be the other strands of DNA that we have is going to get activated. So let's address now the external world, because the external world does affect us. So EMF is going to affect the DNA, which is a storage unit, right, of information for everything that the body is supposed to experience. And it's going to also activate the nervous system in a negative way. It puts it in not an ease state. And your sympathetic nervous system gets activated, which now the external world, your external projection, is going to physically harm the body, which is why EMF needs to be kind of limited or do some protections. And then we have to do some grounding or some sort of exercises, and magnesium in this case would be absolutely
to
great because the
recover.
body,
Yes,
yes,
got to always recover from those background stresses. We're not even aware of often that they're there. You just go shopping in the shopping center, but you could be saturated with 5G and come away feeling like stressed or anxious and not really understanding why you feel bad, but you've just been exposed to a higher level of radiation your body
correct,
doesn't like.
absolutely. And then we have the trauma, which is a concern. And I'd like to address that for the audience because it saddens my heart when, first of all, my heart goes out for everybody who has had trauma. But a lot of teachers say, just be in the positive. Okay, so it's great to be on the positive, but that trauma, if it's not cleared, it replays.
It's emotional.
Yes, whether you know it or not, it replays because the memory wasn't processed correctly. Traumatic memories are stored in the hippocampus, and they're usually high definitions. Other memories are processed and they're stored to the neocortex. And so what happens, they're always playing at the background because the body wants to release and resolve it. And then we go at night, the body always tries to bring you the dreams when you during your REM state. And if you somehow don't manage the next day to resolve it, or you don't resolve it during the night, your delta sleep gets shortened and there's no rest and repair.
Yeah.
So
then you scrape the bottom of the barrel and you keep using up your resources until you do damage, because everything is about resources. And the thing is that if you, with your thoughts, have negative thoughts or thoughts of lack or, something destructive, the cells will follow those thoughts and obey and carry out how you're thinking. As you think, so you are, right?
Absolutely. The cells are always listening to whatever it is that you're thinking.
You're programming.
Yes, I had a client, so I actually still have a client, that some memory would show up, and because it wasn't affecting her now, she would put it aside. And it showed up occasionally, it wasn't showing up all the time. And it took her a long time to bring it up to resolve. So the issues weren't resolving because she says, well, I'm not thinking about it. I'm supposed to be in a happy, good state. The memory would come up. She'd just put it back aside. Well, that's using energy. So let's imagine the body.
Yes, it's very, very draining.
Correct. As a cell phone. Let's just say the body is a cell phone and you have 30 apps running. Well, what's going to happen to your battery? It's going to fully drain. So when we have all these programs running, negative emotions,
which leads to depression.
Correct.
Because depression is a depression of energy to the brain. Yeah. And so the cells obey. If you believe in, someone says, if the doctor says to someone, you've only got 6 months to live, and they believe that, then their cells will just follow the orders. But if they believe something different, oh, that can't be right, I think I'll be fine for much longer time to come, and they emotionally believe it, then they defy all those odds. So this is how powerful we are.
Absolutely.
Through thought, but thought has to be attached to emotion. You mentioned the two different parts of the brain that store memory. So when we think intellectually and it's not attached to the emotion that goes with it, it doesn't work.
Correct. And the reason for it is because the thoughts, as I started in the beginning, are electric. So electricity is just going to send a message. The emotion is electromagnetic. So now you have a magnet. The emotion draws things back to you. So if you have a thought, I'm going to be healthy, and there's no feeling, well, there can't be any health coming in, and you're actually not changing also the frequency of the body, because the frequency of the body, or your overall, I should say, vibration, is what changed the TV channels, right? You don't like channel 5 because it's murders, and you want to watch something positive, you go to another channel. But our tuning fork is the emotion.
Yes, so isn't that amazing? Emotions are so powerful, people don't realize. And you mentioned the connection with frequency. So the frequency is intimately connected with emotions. And for us to lift frequency, we have to lift emotions. The two are the same, aren't they?
Well, they're almost, there's emotions and frequencies a little different. I think you could describe feelings sometimes as the sensations, but the emotions, we have labeled them, and well, Dr. David Hawkins mapped them. So he labeled them. And sometimes, you have a feeling, it's like a tightness. We
Yeah.
associate certain feelings and sensations with emotions, and it's become interchangeably.
So when you have a happy emotion, or let's say you're feeling a little bit down in the dumps, you do a meditation, you try and clear the brain of all the thoughts, the nagging thoughts, or whatever is plaguing you, and you're able to get into that zero spot, that internal zone, and just rest in there. It's really a rest phase, isn't it? And when you rest enough and you clear away the debris, what wells up is just a feeling of goodness and happiness and love. So that's lifting the frequency, isn't it? The frequency then ends up being that positive, uplifting, happy emotion, very contented, like nothing's wrong. And, everything will roll out perfectly the way it should, that kind of feeling of order and confidence of order in the universe, rather than the opposite, which is chaos and something unpredictable, something you can't control. So these are two diametric opposite ways of thinking and feeling. And so emotions are a lot more than a sensation. They're actually connected with the frequency, which results in the sensation, doesn't it?
Correct. And you hit a key point. So when you're in the void, to enter truly the void, you've disconnected for the body momentarily. So your awareness, right? So now you're connecting to the field. You're actually connecting to source, which is the vibration of
Without
love.
the static.
Correct. And if you stay long enough in there, there's a good likelihood to get also a download from new information. When we get downloads, we often can get upgrades of our frequency, of the physical frequency of the body to heal, because you are in the place where it's higher vibrational, right? So that high vibration is pulling everything up. It's
So
going
that's
to
a download of truth, isn't it? When you say download, something that resonates as being 100% true and real, relating to your being, and then everything makes sense. This is how you resolve those leftover traumas, isn't it? That people see the why of something, and then it's resolved.
correct. Correct.
So how do you go about helping people that have, say, PTSD or some kind of past traumas, and they've intellectually tried everything, and so can't seem to shake that unwanted bad feeling? What's the first thing that you would do with those people?
Okay, so I want to put an extra step here. People who have PTSD are going to have a hard time meditating in the beginning because the body doesn't feel safe. And that's where what I do comes to be extremely helpful. So as an EFT practitioner, they can verbalize with their eyes open and start tapping on the meridian point so the energy can start flowing. And eventually there's a new reset, because EFT resets the amygdala and the hippocampus. And once a lot of the energy gets released, now I can add more stuff to them. For example, they can meditate, because I was one person that I could not meditate in the beginning, because every time I was trying to enter the void, I would go into panic and fear because there was too much panic in my body.
Yeah, it's like a blockage. So what you do, it sounds like you're starting at a very physical level, just to try and clear energy and allow that electrical field to run more smoothly without glitches, without getting stuck somewhere. Once the electrical, the physical part of us is working better, then you can download more truth information. Yeah,
And
makes
we
sense.
do, and we do an extra step. So once some of the emotion is cleared, we can re-imprint memories. So memories are stored between two neurons. Now, when they're traumatic, they are usually in the hippocampus. And with EFT, we can clear the emotion so they can go and be stored in the neocortex. But what we also can do is rewrite the memory. So if we can start replaying the new memory, how we would have liked that to happen, eventually that old memory gets erased. Those old neurons get pruned out. So now you're in a new timeline as well, because your backstory has changed.
So you're using the imagination to create some good feelings on that new thought or the new way of looking at it. And then those positive, uplifting feelings lift the vibration to a higher frequency where they have more access to truth. And we always need to find out more things. You never get it all straight away. It's all piecemeal, isn't it? That's what I found. Another bit and another bit. Just keep adding the bricks till you
That's
build it.
correct.
Yeah. So because we're nearing the end, would you like to just give people a little summary of where they can find you,
Absolutely.
or what they can read more about what we've talked about?
Absolutely. So they can come to my website, tapintoyourbestself.com, and I offer a complimentary consultation so they can get some information. I have EFT packages, and I have a combination of EFT with the course that I teach of Dr. Dispenza, Change Your Mind, Create New Results, which is a neuroscience-based approach. So he teaches us how to harness the brain, and with EFT, we master our emotions. And the combination of both is a win-win. I also have a blog that they can access a lot of information. And I have a free ebook, and I'd be happy to help people. And I'd like all of the world to know that all diseases are lowering a frequency. And if we can get back to the frequency, since the body is a holographic projection, a healthy body can be projected, regardless of what its challenges are.
So the frequency brings us back to our natural field. So God is love, and nature wants to promote life. Life is love. You can't have life without some kind of love, right? So that's all the highest level of frequency. And when something is opposed to life, it's actually opposed to love. It's always the opposite, the antithesis. So when we feel a lack or some kind of corruption coming into that natural field, we need to look at it like getting back to what we were originally before the corruption.
Correct.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I just hope everyone in the whole world starts to cotton on to this wonderful wisdom and truth and way out of the mess, because there's a lot of mess on the planet at the moment.
Well, people are seeing it, and the souls who decide to choose that way, they'll have a better option for a better life. And we eventually are freeing our soul from this low density that we've been coming for such a long time. So it's not just about your health only for now. It's basically connecting to the source of life that gave you life and continuing now with control and choosing what experiences you want.
Yes, I think so. The physical experience is a stepping stone. It's like a school or a kindergarten for us to learn wisdom and to learn how to use our powers, which are connected with that higher level of frequency, and everyone can access it. And so that's really hopeful for everyone. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are, everyone has access to this wonderful, loving field. And with that, we'll say goodbye and thank you so much, Sophia.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having me on your show again.
Bye-bye. I hope you liked this conversation and will share it with others. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you want to listen to other Body Charge conversations, click like, subscribe, the bell icon, and click all notifications. Subscribe to our newsletter to get updates on blogs, podcasts, videos, and magnesium special offers at electromagnesium.com.au. Relax, recharge, and recover.